I am William Anderson of Homewood, running for state legislator.
All right, so Will, what made you think about getting into politics?
Well, basically because those are the only real gangsters around, is the politicians. All these brothers that I see in the street, all the so-called thugs and so-called gangsters, the only way that I found to, bring my people out of the situation that they're in is through politics and through the political system, because without involvement in politics, nothing is possible, and everything comes through the hands and the pockets of politicians. So this is the best way for a community to uplift itself and get involved and do something positive to help, our community and, the people that are supposed to be represented.
What are some of the problems you see in politics today?
Well, the biggest problem is corruption and money, and people that have never had a job before, so therefore they're easily bought by big business and big companies. And the biggest problem that I see is not representing the people that you're supposed to represent. Most politicians represent themselves and don't speak for or even interact with people in the community that they're supposed to represent, and why the people on the bottom are suffering and people on top continue to get richer.
Okay. Who are you running against?
I'm running against Joe Preston, who has been a legislator for approximately, I believe it's 28 or 30 years, in the Homewood Brushton area, which our legislative district, if you don't know, is Aspenwall, Homewood, Wilkinsburg, Lincoln Lemington, Belmar Gardens, Point Breeze, East Liberty, and a little section of Garfield. So if you live in these areas, we've had a legislator in Joe Preston for 30 years that has never done anything. I'm not even sure if he's even put a piece of legislation forward. And in our community, we have some of the biggest problems in the world. America is the #1 incarcerator of African American males in the world. Pittsburgh is the #1 incarcerator of African American males in America. So therefore, Pittsburgh is the #1 incarcerator of African American males in the entire world. And we adjudicate more juveniles, which means to charge a juvenile as an adult, whatever the crime is, than anywhere else in the world. So the basic stance for the politicians and the people here, as far as black men are concerned, is it's better to throw them away than try to educate them and deal with them, because the knowledge and the power that we have as black men is stronger than any other race of people in the world. And if we become positive parts of society, there's nowhere that we can't succeed, and nowhere that we won't succeed.
So when you do get elected, what are some of the things you're trying to accomplish?
The thing that I'm going to work on, which I've already started to work on, is I've written an amendment to the Uniform Firearms Act, which means that the proliferation of guns in our community, which means in layman's terms is the dumping of guns into our community by people, gun makers, people from out of state, people basically that live here that have problems and go into stores and buy all these guns and then come into our community and sell them to our children, which in turn are using them to commit crimes. And for various reasons, this will not happen anymore, because the amendment to the Uniform Firearms Act that I wrote puts a requirement that anyone that purchases a gun in Pennsylvania, anyone that owns a gun in Pennsylvania, anyone that moves to Pennsylvania with a firearm, every year, no matter how many guns that you purchase, you will be required to return that gun to either a law enforcement officer or the place that you purchased the gun, to have the gun inspected, to have the gun cleaned, to have it checked for serial numbers, to see if it had been involved in any crimes. And this will stop the proliferation of guns in our community, because if you have to take this gun every year, if you have 100 guns, just like if you have 100 cars, you have to take those cars to be inspected. And if you have to take these guns every year to be re-inspected, you're not going to go out and sell guns. So that will basically, I'm sure it won't eliminate it, but it will slow down to a snail's pace the amount of guns, and the crimes in our community, because most of the violent crimes are committed with firearms. And most of these firearms are not purchased legally. But the system does not go after these people that are, flooding our community with these guns through illegal things. They go after the effect of the flooding of the guns. And that's what, as an official, it is my duty to change. Not to go after the people that are the effect of it, but go after the people that are causing these problems. None of these problems are causing our community. We don't bring drugs into our community. We don't bring these things. These are things that have systematically been planned to keep our community down. And that's what my involvement is here, and for me to tell other people to get involved, because we can change this. This isn't something that is impossible to do. All it takes is your vote and your participation, which is free, and which people have died for. We have, as a generation, have lost that, because our parents did not teach us the importance of it. When our parents crossed the bridge, they burnt the bridge down and didn't teach us any other way around it. So we had to learn a way around, the valley to get to the other side. Now we're building a bridge, trying to bring people from the negative side onto the positive side. I'm trying to get to the real people that need help in the community and connect them with the two and bridge the gap. Because that's what we don't have. We don't have any real bridge builders in our community.
What advice you say you would have for the young black male today?
Well, the biggest thing I can say, to my brothers out there, is that, I am you. I've been to where you've been, and I am where you're trying to get to. So I can, tell you that education, one, is the key. Two, you must learn to respect, not only respect yourself, but respect your elders, and respect the things that they've done. Although they don't have all the answers, they can give you some knowledge to help you move forward and to, get through the things that the problems that you have. And I think the biggest problem that I see for young black men today is in our community, basically in the Pittsburgh area. What we're talking about is our inability to, deal with confrontation, deal with problems. We're so quick to react because there is no one that we feel that we can turn to when we have a problem. There's no one that we feel can protect us. There's no one that we feel that we can trust, that we can go to. There aren't any elected officials that we even know. Let alone, we don't even know our elected official's name, let alone what their office is supposed to do and how that is supposed to benefit and help the community. So my biggest struggle and biggest fight is trying to get to people in my community that have been disenfranchised and left behind for so long. Like now we have a president that doesn't even mention the problems of our community. Actually, we would just like some type of recognition of the struggles that we go through as poor blacks, people of color, African Americans, Negroes in this country. So that is my my biggest struggle, and my advice to the younger generation that is coming up behind me, that I'm making a path for you and a road for you to go to, that you can successfully make it to the other side and be a positive part of society. And to me, it's historical that we elected a black president, but since I was born, I've always had to believe that we as people of color can be president and aspire to be the highest things and representatives of our community. And you do that individually, every day as you live. You respect your neighbor as you would yourself. And that is basically the biggest problem that we don't have, that they've taken the neighbor out of the hood. So my purpose is to put the neighbor back into the hood, so we can be a neighborhood again. You need to register to vote. You can call the Allegheny County Bureau of Elections, which is on the corner of Forbes and Ross Street. I believe it's the 3rd or 4th floor. And you can go in there and you fill out a voter registration form if you're not registered to vote, and that will get you in the process. Because unless you're registered, you can't fight. We need as many soldiers in the fight as we can, because like I said, the parties depend on our vote in each and every election, but they just don't go after it because we've been so prone to supporting the Democrats and the one-side society in our community, and a lot of times we vote our party more so than our interests. And if you ever need me, I own a business at 501 Brushing Avenue, Pittsburgh's finest auto body. My phone number is 412-628-4199. My email address is newyoungdemsofpa@hotmail. That's NEWYOUNGDEMSOFPA@hotmail.com. You can shoot me an email, you can come visit me, you can call me, you can call whatever you need to do. I'm there for you. I'm there for the community, and I'm trying to make things better, but I can't do this without your help. This isn't something that I can do by myself. Without the voters of and constituents of our community, sticking together and staying up and saying we've had enough of the representation of Joe Preston for the past 30 years that has not done anything for our community but take us backwards. which my grandmother is Evelyn Richardson, who is the senior member of the Democratic National Committee, who was the first African American elected to the Democratic National Committee, and has been on for 37 years. She tells me that we are going backwards in time. And progress from where she started, blacks in this community are going backwards because we have no progress, and a little bit of construction and stuff that we see in these stories like that, that is not nearly what we need to solve the problem and move our. Okay, you just experienced the first show of Keeping It Real with Will. Well, we'll be back to you in the months coming up to the election. We're going to try to do this every week or something, keep you involved, let you know what's going on. And on November 19th, we'll be holding our first Leadership 2012 conference at the Hosanna House. We'll have a reception on the 18th. More information to come. Just keep your head up. The change is coming. We're going to fix this community whether they like it or not.